What's up, everybody? Welcome to the PickSix podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL podcast. I'm Will Brinson. I'm your host. Coming up on this episode, the gambling preview of the Washington football team, New York Giants Thursday night game. Ooh, a shootout in the works. In the feed, a Brady Quinn football show. And coming up Thursday night football reaction, plus our weekly picks show. If you want to use your football expertise to win big-time cash prizes, well, now you've got your chance with Football Picker from CBS Sports. Correctly pick the whole slate of games, and you can win the $100,000 jackpot this week and every week of the season by visiting cbssports.com/picks. Even if no one wins the weekly jackpot, we're still giving away $1,000 of guaranteed cash to the winner each week and $5,000 to the season-long champ. So don't wait. Make your picks and compete for the $100,000 jackpot by visiting cbssports.com/picks today. Joining me to break down the Thursday night game, excuse me, Tyler Sullivan. Sully, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
What's going on, Will? How you doing?
I'm great. Before we dive in, so we're going to try and tighten this episode up a little bit. We're going to talk about the spread and the total. Then we're going to hit some props and we'll do some DFS. The Starbucks. I got some afternoon. I was dragging today. Got some afternoon coffee.
I feel that.
Yeah. And but I want to point out before we get into this game that during Monday Night Football between the Ravens and the Raiders, we get the Slack message, and it's our boss, our podcast czar, Eric K. He's like, I mean, maybe next time we tell these guys to take some unders. Complaining. He's like, I hammered Brinson and Sully on all these overs. And he's like, it's like the first quarter. And all the overs hit.
I was gonna say
the overs hit, Sully.
It's like Novocaine. Just give it time. Just give it time. It always works. That's really the move there. So I mean, that one. I mean, listen. There were some of them we still missed. I mean, I know I was really high on Mark Andrews, but he had a quiet night on that one. You missed the receptions one on that one.
I think we had talked about Lamar Jackson over touchdown passes. That should have probably hit, but didn't.
Right. The one that I was pretty high on with Jackson was the carries. That hit because we went to overtime, so that was great. But yeah, no. I mean, listen, that one was quite the game.
Crazy game, yeah. I mean, I will point out that the Tyson Williams and Marquise Brown overs all hit. I think those are. I said to get those the night before, and those hit. Those hit in the first half. I think. So no sweat there. Let's dive into Giants in Washington. It is the Washington football team hosting the New York Giants. The line is Washington minus 3.5 and the over-under, a robust 40.5. Yeesh. The Giants have won 5 straight games against WFT. Daniel Jones, this is like the weirdest thing ever. He is 4-19 against everyone not named Washington. And he is 4-0 in his career against Washington. Also, he's never fumbled against Washington, which feels more like an outlier than necessarily a trend. You get big-time Andy Dalton vibes from old Danny Dimes. He's 0-5 straight up in primetime, 2-3 against the spread. The Giants are on a 7-game primetime losing streak, 1-11 in their last 12 primetime games, while Washington, not so hot either, 1-6 in their last 7 primetime games. They are number 32 and number 31 in terms of rank as far as scoring teams go, like full game scoring between the team and their opponent over the last year. The Giants averaged 39.8 per game in matchups. Washington 41.1. Yikes.
So you tell me this isn't like an NFC title game preview, the clash of NFC East champions or anything like that?
Not the Bucs and the Cowboys is what I'm saying.
No, it's not. But still, plenty of stuff to kind of look at. I know you put those trends out there too, but there's a few others that kind of, for me at least, trend a little favorably towards the Giants. Actually, we're getting 3.5 on them. There's a Washington's changing a quarterback. You can make the case, is Heineke better than Fitzpatrick, or what does he add for them? But ultimately, the trends for me that I'm looking at with New York are 8-5 against the spread when they're at least a 3-point dog. They are 3-0 ATS under with 6 games or less to prepare under Joe Judge. So seems like he gets his teams ready to play with a short week. Again, small sample size, but certainly something to look at with that head coach.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And Judge, they got embarrassed by Denver. It's a little difficult to tell exactly. Week 1 you try and sort of adjust for opponent when you're planning your week 2 picks, and it's a little difficult to tell with Washington and New York because the Giants look terrible on offense, although Danny Dimes moved the ball at various times throughout the game. But they're playing the Broncos, who I think are probably a really good defense. And Washington's defense limited the Chargers, but didn't look exactly great. But it's possible the Chargers are great offense. I know our good pal Chris Trapasso was on the PickSix podcast TikTok account. I don't know if you're TikTok. Do you TikTok? I don't TikTok.
I think I have an account, but it's nothing. No.
Anyway, Traps is on there doing a good breakdown of Rashawn Slater, the rookie left tackle, or rookie left tackle, because Bulaga plays right. Rookie left tackle for the Chargers going up against Chase Young. And just like he did in college, he absolutely stonewalled him. I don't know that so Andrew Thomas will have his hands full. That's what I'm saying with Chase Young. If you limit Chase Young, maybe you could, if you limit Chase Young in a one-on-one matchup, I think it's possible that Daniel Dimes can
Mr.
move the ball. Yeah, Mr. Dimes can move the ball well enough to score some points. Ultimately, for me, the reason I'm going to take the Giants plus 3.5 is that I think this is an under game. And when you're talking about a matchup of two divisional teams that are not high scoring, that want to play defense and be very conservative on offense, particularly when you get the quarterback swap, we don't expect them to open it up for Taylor Heineke. They're going to try to run the ball with Antonio Gibson. JD McKissick could be involved as well. They're going to try and win with defense. And, they were, I was just reading something about, so somebody was like complaining on Twitter about the Giants scheme, or maybe it was Dan Orlovsky was saying that it's like, what was like, why do the Giants put Daniel Jones in these positions to make plays at these certain points in time? And so I think it was maybe Jeff Kavanaugh of Dallas said in reply, like, Jason Garrett doesn't believe in scheming guys up. He's go beat your man and let's play with our plays, which is one, stupid, but good for an under. And so I think I lean under in this game, and probably lean to the Giants as well, because if you're going to have a low scoring game, I want to be catching the 3.5.
Yeah, to me, I'm definitely with you on the Giants plus 3.5. I mean, I have this game like sitting right around 40, 41. If it's a 23-20 game, like that still could be a low scoring game, or not a prolific game, but you're still going over. It's just so low that it's really tough to kind of pinpoint that. To me, it's really a stay away in terms of the over under. I don't want to touch it whatsoever, but I do like getting the field over a field goal with the Giants here in a game where I don't really think it's going to be particularly one sided. I think it's going to be close pretty much till the end. You could talk me into any one of these teams winning, but it won't be by more than a field goal.
Yeah, I mean, and even if the Daniel Jones Washington trend is kind of intriguing. I don't know why. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, right?
Right. To me, like it's great. I mean, I have some of the numbers here, like you said, 4-0. He's almost completing 70% of his passes, 68.2% of his pass. It's insane, and he's got like an 8-3.
So it's not like he just owns Ron Rivera; he just owns Washington.
Yeah, 8-3 touchdown interception ratio. So he's averaging over a touchdown and a half a game. I don't know if you're looking at that for a prop or anything along those lines, but like he has a track record of performing extremely well. I just wonder, are you're going up against a Washington team all this time that, has had some uncertainty at the quarterback position, a ton of change throughout that history. Again, we're seeing it here on Thursday night with Heineke coming in for Fitzpatrick. To me, I almost feel like it's I don't want to say a fluke, because you got to give credit where credit's due. He's played well against them, but to me, I'm not putting as much stock in it. Like, just because he's 4-0 doesn't mean that he's just going to own them in this game. I don't really put as much as his previous record implies it would be.
Yeah, that's perfectly fair. I'll take the I will take the Giants though for my pick.
No, are you going to take them? Would you take them money line? Because I still feel like Washington somehow figures it out, but they'll win by a field goal.
Yeah, I don't want to take the Giants to win.
Yeah.
I think Washington's a better team, even with Taylor Heineke. So, I want the points. If it gets to 3, I might actually even like Washington. Honestly.
Yeah, see that, and so there are some places that do have it at 3. So Caesars has it at 3.5 right now. So if if you want that half point, which is I think going to be pretty critical in this game, go over to Caesars and get that as soon as you can, because that I feel like is going to come down at some point or another leading up to kickoff here, wherever you're placing your bet.
I would agree with that as well. And I like the first half under 2. Let me see. They have where's half? Yeah, Caesar's actually done a really good job with the website. It's much better than
it's 20.
It's down to 20. I'll still take 20. It was 20.5. Clearly, you'd rather have 21 for 7-7-7 that 3 touchdowns in the first half. Mm-hmm. But I really feel like there could be a bunch of field goals in this game, and it's just a slow churn of an affair where Jason Garrett has famously said as long as a drive ends in a kick, that's a win for us. And with that, he means a field goal, extra point, or a punt, which is what a way to go through life.
I know that is tough. I feel for Cowboys fans for all those years, and now our Giants fans are really
so your bet is officially you like the Giants the most.
Yeah, Giants plus 3.5. But if you're like, if we're talking about the actual game, who we think is going to win, I think it's going to be Washington. So money line Washington, 3.5. I'm taking the Giants in the points.
Yeah, I'll take the 3.5, and I want the first half under 20, and I would lean towards the full game under as well. But I think I want 41 for that. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, player props and DFS picks. Player props for this one. We got again EK's all over us for. Where's my unders? Well, you want unders, baby? We got unders this time. These have come down. I wanted to, the problem is, one of the issues with these props is that I've seen some places like, for instance, an unnamed legal sports book that I won't reference, and maybe even actually Caesars too, gets these out on like Tuesday.
Yeah. And
I don't get to see mine until Wednesday morning for a Thursday game, and probably at best Thursday for Sunday, but more likely Friday for Sunday. And at that point, these numbers have all been smashed with a sledgehammer, which is really, really annoying. For instance, my favorite prop bet here is Sterling Shepard under. It was 61.5 receiving yards. It is now down to 57.5, minus 130. I seen it 55.5. It was 56.5 on Wednesday morning when I woke up and was actually able to bet it. I took 56.5. I will happily take under 57.5. Shepard had a big game last week, huge game against the Broncos, including a long touchdown run that he made. But this is not a guy who is prone to huge, deep touchdowns. If you look at his ADOT, it's extremely low. If you look at how he runs his routes, this is not a guy who's running 9 routes. And so more than likely, he's going to be catching passes over the middle, but the pace in this game is going to be such that I think it will lead to Sterling Shepard. Now, Evan Ingram being out, and he's officially been ruled out. We should have mentioned that off the top, I guess, but that hurts a little bit for Sterling Shepard's receiving total, but I will still hammer the under here. I love the under Sterling Shepard receiving yards.
I'm right there with you on that one, just because I do think there's going to be some sort of like an overcorrection here a little bit too, where everybody, is rushing to your waiver wires in fantasy to go pick up Sterling Shepard. Everybody's feeling like he's going to be that guy for the Giants, and you already see it too. The smart money's, dragging this number down quite a bit. So, I'm right there. I do like the under on this one, even at this point. I think I saw it last time I saw it was like at 62.5. And to me, even still, I don't know if we're going to see a ton of looks here from Daniel Jones and Sterling Shepard. So, and one thing I do like, though, I know EK is not going to like me going over here, but I do like the Darius Slayton over at 2.5 receptions in this game. He was second on the team last week in receptions. And if all of a sudden Washington starts to really control this game, and I'm predicting that they're going to win, even though I think the Giants are going to cover, you're looking at Darius Slayton. I think there's going to be more than one deep shot threats here, and that is the guy for Daniel Jones to kind of really try to get back in this game deep. So to me, Darius Slayton, getting 2, getting 3, 4, 5 looks deep in this game really wouldn't shock me.
So Sterling Shepard, by the way, also played against Washington last year, only once because he was on injured reserve for the second one in the game at Washington in Week 9. Targeted 8 times. A lot of targets.
Yeah.
6 catches. That's a lot of catches. 39 yards. I mean, that's not a guy who's going to be running all he's just not. Now, if he catches one over the middle and he takes off, then it is what it is. Sure. But I think it's more likely that we see him end up, I think it's more likely. All right. So I wanted to bring up the next gen stat thing. He didn't run a route that stemmed past 10-15 yards, and most of them, it's like he ran one curl route that hit at 15 yards and maybe a couple of crossing routes. He's just going to set up in the slot and run crossers. And when you have a defense like a Ron Rivera defense, they're going to be prepared to stop him. They're not going to leave those openings across the middle and let him take off. I'll absolutely take that Shepard under. And I don't mind. Did you say Slayton or Gallagher? You said Slayton, right?
Slayton, yeah.
Yeah. I don't mind the Slayton at all. That reception. So did you go receptions or did you go
receptions? But you can also go receiving yards there too. It's the same concept. I just like receptions a little bit more when you're looking at the targets last week too.
Yeah, and you're only looking for 3 catches.
Yeah,
that's it.
I mean,
whoa, another one.
Not asking for a lot.
No, you're not asking for a lot at all. Another one that I got. If we could go to Giants longest reception, Debo, if we can find that. There we go. All right, so look at this. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/PickSix, hit the like button, subscribe, whatever. Tell us your favorite player prop. But we see here, Kyle Rudolph, the longest reception is 12.5. Now, Debo, if you could scroll up a little bit till we get to receiving yards, what we'll see is that Kyle Rudolph's longest or total receiving yards is 19.5. I will take the under on Kyle Rudolph's longest reception at 12.5 yards. I don't think Kyle Rudolph is going to get a ton of targets in this game. I realize Evan Ingram's out. I think Kyle Rudolph under longest reception 12.5 is a decent look. You could also just go Kyle Rudolph under 19.5 receiving yards as well. And while we're at receiving yards, let's click on the Washington football team thingamajiggy right there. Is Logan Thomas under getting smashed? It is getting smashed. It is down to 46.5. I'm still okay with that. I want the under Logan Thomas 46.5. And guess what, Sully? Since you and I are head to head on this one, apparently,
I like it. Yeah,
you get 2 free yards. You had under 48.5, or you had over 48.5. You get 2 bonus yards. I get screwed out of 2 here.
I know, right? I might have been reading that one wrong. I think I'm just going to say that just to kind of cheat myself with a couple extra yards there.
No, I sent in under 48.5. It's dropped 2 yards since this afternoon.
Okay, so all right, so I got it at 48, but all right, good for you. You get the yards there, but I actually like the over here with Logan Thomas.
I'm taking the under. You're taking the over.
I'm taking the over. Right.
Yeah. I'd rather have 48.5.
And so for me, Logan Thomas, I actually think is going to have a great game here. I don't know what people are looking at. To me, I look at it from when Taylor Heineke came into this game. It was pretty much Logan Thomas show. He looked all of his receiving yards, three targets, 3 catches, 30 yards, touchdown. All of that came from Heineke. None of that was Ryan Fitzpatrick. If we're just looking at this game against the New York Giants, what happened last week against the Denver Broncos? Noah Fant had 6 receptions, 8 targets were a team high, 62 yards. So if we're talking, if this team is bad against tight ends, which is kind of what we're looking at last week. Again, Noah Fant, very talented, but it's not like we're talking about Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Darren Waller, who are complete, they're going to be the focal point of an offense. Clearly there was a mismatch there, and Teddy Bridgewater looked to exploit it. I would think that Ron Rivera and the coaching staff would see that on film and look to Logan Thomas, a talented tight end in his own right, and say, okay, we may be able to exploit the same way with a similar talented type of tight end. So to me, if you're looking at, whether it's receiving yards, I don't know what his receptions were. I didn't hone in on that one. But to me, if he can get 30 yards, if he's averaging 10 yards per reception, I love this one so far because I think he's going to get a lot of looks this week. I
do think it is fair to look at the case you're making for Logan Thomas and also point out, I'm playing devil's advocate to my point here, but 9 targets, 5 catches, 74 yards in the playoff matchup against Tampa Bay last year. Really tough defense. And so we're looking at games with Taylor Heineke in there.
Yeah.
It feels like he might latch on to his tight end. My theory here is just I want unders in this game when it comes to receiving yards because these teams are going to run the ball a bunch. We haven't heard what Saquon Barkley's going to do yet. I don't think there are any props available for rushing yards. If he's, if you get props before the game and he's listed as limited, or the Giants made it very clear they were going to limit his touches last week, and they did. And he was not explosive at all. So keep an eye out for that one. It's possible that we could have some value there in terms of Saquon Barkley if these props pop up. But I just don't think you're going to see a whole lot of. I just don't think they're going to put Saquon Barkley props up. Like I know Debo's like scrolling for him. I don't think you're going to find him. See, they don't even include him. One thing I do like is potentially J.D. McKissick receptions or receiving yards. Antonio Gibson's a little banged up. I wouldn't be surprised if they rotated him in a little bit more. You can see if
it's really low. It's 2.5.
His catches is 2.5.
The receptions 2.5. It's the same as Antonio Gibson, I believe. If you scroll down a little bit more, Debo, I think he's somewhere down there. Yeah, right there. I think it's 2.5.
That is quite intriguing.
And so the reason why, and I was listening to this, I'll give credit to the Fantasy Football Today guys because I was listening to them talk about it. Taylor Heineke doesn't really throw a lot. Again, it's very small sample size, but hasn't thrown a lot to running backs whenever he's been under center for the Washington football team. So that is something to take note of. Yes, 2.5 for J.D. McKissic. That looks great. Obviously he's the pass catching down guy, not a lot of weapons. Antonio Gibson's hurt. It feels like that's an easy play, a smash play, but it is something to note that Heineke is someone who hasn't in the past thrown a ton to running backs.
All right. What about a lotto ticket prop for you, Sully? Or do you have any more regular props? Sorry.
To me, the Antonio Gibson over total, yards from scrimmage, rushing, receiving, 90.5. To me, that I love that. I know he's a little banged up, but to me, that one at minus 115, I think that's something to look at here, especially if the game goes how we think it is, where it's going to be very run heavy. He's going to get a ton of opportunities. I think he had over 20 touches last week when you account for everything. If he gets a similar type of volume, again, we say he's banged up, but doesn't carry an injury status coming into it. I believe he was a full participant in practice today. So we're okay here. Don't be too worried about Antonio Gibson in terms of fantasy and all that stuff.
Starting Antonio Gibson in fantasy.
Right, exactly. The lotto one, I think I'm leaning towards, and again, we're going up against each other here, Will, but the Logan Thomas one, and if you look at Caesars, they have a special boost on this one, and it's basically the two that I've been looking at. Let me see if I can find it. Where exactly?
They have a name for the boost. It's, by the way, Logan Thomas to score a touchdown.
Yes.
And over 46.5 receiving yards.
So I basically like both of those. So how about this? Let's combine them both together and get plus 400. Okay. Let's ride that wave. Let's see if we can have a similar week to last week. Obviously, when 2 more catches and he gets over this and he scores that touchdown. To me, that's what I'm looking at for a lotto ticket.
Okay. Here's this is stupid. I don't even know if the odds are good here, but if you go over, Diva, if you want to scroll over to touchdown scorer up there, and go all the way to the bottom.
That's always fun.
You know what I'm going right here, right? No touchdown, 30-1. Give me. Yeah, I don't think it's likely, but it's a division game. I wish Scott Turner was a little bit less aggressive, because I think he'll call some creative stuff for Heineke in the red zone. But I firmly believe that both Ron Rivera and Joe Judge are willing to win this with defense and kicking. And that while it's highly unlikely there's not a touchdown. And I don't even know, are those odds good for no touchdown? Like, no touchdown in an NFL game should probably be maybe like 50-1.
Yeah.
But so we're just going to sprinkle just like $10 on this. Nothing crazy, maybe $15.
Well, how about this? Do you like this one a little bit better? Total first half touchdowns, 0, plus 750.
7.5-1 for no first half touchdowns. That's kind of low, isn't it?
So
I guess it would be the second half where people are kind of, being a little bit more aggressive and trying to push it. But I mean, the fact that it says no, again, I like that first half under. I'm just going to go no touchdowns. Just putting $15 on it. Nothing crazy. We're not.
Again, these are lotto tickets. That's the name of the game.
That's right. With that in mind, the idea that there's not going to be a touchdown, it would lead me to believe that if you're building a DraftKings lineup, you're highly intrigued at the idea of using the Washington football team defense as a possible captain. And if you do that, because they are just $8,400 as a possible captain, I should probably have brought this up on my thing before. Hold on 1 second. Anyway, any other props that you want to mention while I scramble desperately to?
No, I don't really have many more props here, but I do love the Washington football team. Again, $8,400. You can pretty much fit whoever you need there. I mean, we were talking about this for the Monday night DraftKings lineup. Like, it was tough to kind of fit everybody in. If you're trying to make Lamar your captain, if you're trying to make Tyson Williams your captain, Derek Carr, Darren Waller, it's tough when you have those kind of guys in your captain spot. You really kind of got to get creative down the line when you start forming that roster. But I mean, I have one just kind of made up, on the fly here. Washington football team captain.
Before you do it, let's share that screen and we'll plug it in. There we go.
Sure, let's do it.
Sorry, I'm so used to Debo does such a good job behind the scenes that I'm not used to having to scramble to get this up. All right, so Washington football team defense, and for the record, I think you will probably see Washington football team, the WFT defense, be pretty chalky as a captain.
Yeah.
Because it allows you to get so much else in there. Not to say that's bad. I mean, if they shut down the Giants and there's not a ton of points, if they get a turnover for a score, then it's going to be worth it. Ooh, you know what that? All right, so you go ahead. Who else you got in this? Who else you got in this lineup?
Throwing Gibson, Heineke. Right. You get Daniel Jones on the other side, and then McKissic and McLaurin. Like, if you feel like it's all Washington, Oh, sorry.
So you're skipping. So you feel like it's gonna be a Washington party.
This is just I made a bunch of them. So this is just one with the lineup in there with the defense.
Okay, but all right. So Gibson, McLaurin, Heineke, and
Jones, and McKissick and McLaurin.
Oh, no Heineke or no Gibson.
No, I have Gibson. Okay. Washington football team. Gibson,
Yep.
Heineke, Daniel Jones, McKissick, McLaurin.
Oh, McKissick is the other guy missing. Yeah. So I mean, I don't mind this. Because McKissick's the best available. Yeah. This is essentially where you say, I think the Giants are going to get the crap kicked out of them, but Daniel Jones will be throwing and running and making things happen in the second half. Now, the only problem is, I guess in showdown, it doesn't really matter as much.
It's a little chalky. That's the problem.
That's probably going to be pretty chalky. Yes, but that's okay. I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. I mean, Washington football team's defense could be extremely, extremely dangerous. Like there's a decent chance they put up some numbers here, or at least lock it down. And again, one of the problems with defense is you can't have a ton of second half scoring. For instance, a defense was winning $1 million and is this $1 million again? I don't like that everybody.
Yeah, you get a million maker on this one.
I don't like that everybody can see my balance. People wondered what happened between Monday and Thursday. I actually just entered a bunch of contests for Sunday. If anybody cares.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like, wow, rough Monday night showdown, buddy. Yeah, I mean, I think that's I like that. I'm trying to think how you would differentiate this. So the other path you could do, where you could do I don't know if he'll listen to this episode. He listens sometimes, but we do. Mike Glennon. Oh no, Mike Glennon is our captain. I'm just kidding. Actually, you know what? There's on Monday night there was a lengthy period of time actually, because it was so low scoring early on, where the people who had Marcus Mariota as their captain in their lineups were in first place because they put him in on that third down. He ran 25 yards or whatever it was. Anyway, just kidding about Glennon as captain. I do think there's a interesting pathway where the Giants are a really good the Giants defense is better than we think, and you go Giants defensive captain, go with Washington 2, and this is the under theory.
Right.
Gibson. I don't even know if I want to mess with Saquon.
No, I don't have him in any lineup that I have working right now. I don't have any locked in, but none he hasn't really been part of my blueprint.
All right, I'm going to add Saquon. No, let's do. All right, we're gonna do Sterling Shepard.
Mm-hmm.
I know I got his under on yardage, but I'm banking on him catching. We're banking on targets and catches, nothing else. Logan Thomas and then Daniel Jones. And in fact, let's take out Gibson and put in another pass catcher from Galladay or Slayton. What do you think?
I mean, I would probably go Slayton there just because that's who I like. But
okay. That leaves $5,700 on the table right there. But
that's okay.
No. You should never worry about how much you're spending in showdown. Never, ever worry that you have to spend all your money. It is irrelevant. The salary cap's just what it is. But in this case, you're saying, okay, the Giants defense is going to lock down the Washington football team, and the Giants are going to kind of run away with this, and then Logan Thomas is going to catch a touchdown at some point, or be the main facilitator for Taylor Heineke. But Heineke's not going to have a good game, and maybe the move would actually be here to go 2-2. So we could go, and we're going to take out Shepard and put in Heineke. So we're going to bank on no points being scored, but the primary pass catchers for these quarterbacks being these two guys.
Yeah.
And so you're just trying to have the defensive points that you're going to get from all of that, plus the primary pass catchers. And the theory here too is that with the way that these fronts work, when you have Washington's front four, and then Dexter Lawrence played out of his mind in week 1, that these teams won't be able to run. So while it will be a running game, there's not going to be a ton of yardage. There aren't going to be any touchdowns, but we do want more touchdown equity with the passers and the potential pass catchers near the goal line.
Yeah. And so to me, that one makes the most, not the most sense, but that one makes sense in terms of how you lay it out. One other one that I think, let's have some fun. Let's go, because we're going full on under, Washington.
Are you about to go Giants and over? Is that what
yeah, let's do it. Let's ride with it. Let's do it. Let's see what it looks like. So obviously, if we're going Giants and over, Daniel Jones has to be the captain.
Agreed. Yeah.
And then then
this is, again, we talked about this last week, but this makes sense. You got to go contrarian sometimes if you want to win $1 million. You're not going to just win it by being chalky. So DJ is the captain. Are we going to like Galladay, Shepard, Slayton?
Yep, we're gonna give that big three, that wide receiver trio. We're throwing those guys in there.
All right.
And then obviously, if this is, if we're talking about a big Danny Dimes day, 4-0, almost 60% completion percentage, that means the Washington football team can't really rely on, the running game of Antonio Gibson. So they would have to start throwing the football to guys like Terry McLaurin and J.D. McKissic.
Okay, I like it. So we go Lauren. Oh, so you're saying Gibson out and McKissic. Oh, that fits quite nicely.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, McLaurin and McKissic out, and Heineke's not putting up a bunch of points because the Giants are putting up the points here. Yeah. I like that. That is good. That is good contrarian thinking when it comes to these DFS things, because the total is super low. The defenses are probably going to be chalky. And if you go with a bunch of dudes who are winging the ball all around, maybe you have a better opportunity to differentiate yourself from the average lineup, and you can climb the board in Showdown. All right, Sully, this is great stuff. I like this little DFS rapport we're developing here. It's every Monday and Thursday. We'll be doing gambling and DFS talk. So if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, hit subscribe, comment away, tell us who your best DFS pick is, your best prop bet, or your favorite pick. And if you're listening to the podcast feed, thank you for listening. Subscribe, rate, and review. Follow at Tyler Sully on Twitter. Read him on CBSSports.com, of course. Thanks for listening. We will good luck in the games tonight. Talk to you guys tomorrow.